What's up, guys? It's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time here in Los Angeles, Wednesday, January 5th, 2021, A.D. Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Not after death, despite, I think my dad told me, well, maybe it's an easy way to remember. We are live on not just YouTube, because we are not just dependent on YouTube, although that is the major platform on which people like to tune into JLP as well as Hake. What can you say? They're the only game in town, but not quite. We are also on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@ the Hake Report, which can be a little frustrating because they don't let you downgrade the quality of the view. You can change YouTube to 144p so that you can stream it easier. Say you wanted to listen to audio only, JLP Live Player. I am on Jesse Lee Peterson's network, as well as TalkStreamLive.com. It's an app. It's a website. There is even a JLP call-in listen line on which you can listen, as well as Facebook. Shout out to the Facebook people. The Hake Report on Facebook and D-Live crew. What's up, D-Live? D-Live has not completely banned me, although I am demonetized on YouTube, as well as D-Live, as well as Twitch. Well, Twitch they just want you to be exclusive on Twitch. Yeah, I'm on Twitch. Can you believe it? The liberal platform. And Twitter and others. Nice, huh? Not Trovo, though. Not Trovo. JLP is on Trovo. I am not. I'm going to talk about... I just wanted to get that out there because there's a lot of censorship going on in the world. Public health females. Man, they are a mess. And there's a lot of confusing clarifications going on out of the woman-led CDC. Masks on kids. It's that's what they recommend. Freedom is what I recommend, but being wise and healthy, right? And China. All this drama about China, and really America is a mess with this fake racism mess. And it's an attack on children, and it's an attack on truth. And it's an attack on real Americans, all right? So we're going to talk about that. I will take your calls. I appreciate it, guys. But anyway, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh,
that's my
it's the Hake Report.
deeper voice.
The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. I am wearing my la la la. Can you see the la la la? I see it because I know where to look. Tall letters. L-A, L-A, L-A. La la la. Shout out to the great Lock Your Door for the design. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And it's still with Hake and his beard because I still have... This is a little bit of a beard, right? Let's just call it a little bit of a beard. I picked the wrong time to shave my beard because I've gone outside and it's cold outside. But I do... Well, we'll do the sideburns update. It hasn't changed much since yesterday. I'm growing out my sideburns as a fundraiser for from Lord Bibby 42. He's going to donate $100 to Bond if I grow out my sideburns for a certain number of weeks. Nice, huh? And I think it was a nice suggestion anyway. And it's a nice thing to, Hake got a MoCo. M-O-K-O. What a mess. Anyway, before I get to calls, let me just cover this quick story. I don't know, hopefully it's quick. It's not even really a story. It's just I wanted to point and laugh at pictures of so-called public health females from around the country. I was listening to the Jesse Lee Peterson show earlier today, and out there in the office, I do Hake News, right? Hake News segments. Out there in the office, I took a peek up at Fox News, or should I say faux news? Playing around. And, you know, first of all, what's the most corrupt city in America? Is it Chicago? Pardon me. Is it Chicago? Chicagoans allegedly voted for a radical liberal, not the good kind, black lesbian for female mayor. I know it's kind of redundant to say female and lesbian. And second of all, but I repeat, I make it redundant for emphasis, right? Because you don't do that. Second of all, a female spokesman for the Chicago Public Health Department. I have pictures of her that I took from the Fox News TV, screen. Is this Dr. Allison Arwady. And although that may not sound like a white name, that Arwady, I don't know, maybe she's married to a non-white, but she looks white. But she does not look healthy. There was a teacher walkout, by the way, sent parents scrambling, crazy, in the cold. But anyway, Chicago, Tuesday, yesterday. This woman was talking in front of you see the black radical lesbian woman, Lori Lightfoot in the background. But this woman, she doesn't look like she belongs. This is the Chicago Public Health Department person, or a person from there, Dr. Allison Arwady. And for the audio listeners, the live audio listeners, the audio podcast listeners, this woman is, although she is white, she is fat and thin hair. And I don't really hold it against people that have thin hair, but this, it's a little unusual for a woman. She's like relatively young looking woman too. 40s, 50s. I would be surprised if she were in her 60s. Maybe even 30s. You know how fat kind of, but anyway, ages people. Or it makes them look older than they are. Crazy. She doesn't appear totally healthy, but she's pushing health on kids, so-called kids, and talking about, we need to be closing down or clamping down on bars and businesses and stuff. Reminds me of the lady in charge, just the notion of these unsettling-looking women. Sorry, ladies. But unsettling-looking women. The lady in charge, and I use the term lady loosely. I'm not calling her loose. Morally, she's loose, I think. If she's a liberal, if she's criticizing Trump over fake stuff, which she has. This L.A. County public health woman with an SJW degree, Barbara Ferrer. Yikes. Wild-looking, skeleton-looking, crazy, curly, whitish gray hair woman with dark eye sockets. Look at this woman, Barbara Ferrer. Yikes. And she's running the show. She does not even, I don't even think she has a medical degree. She just has she has like this equity degree type thing. Although she's kind of old. Does this woman seem, although she is skinny, which you don't want to be too skinny, but I don't know. This doesn't look like a normal American Christian, healthy, fit woman. You know what I mean? Plus, she shouldn't be running the show. But she's running the show. Yikes. Yikes. Not good. At least Rochelle Walensky is pretty. Or am I? I never thought of Rochelle Walensky as being pretty, but in comparison with the prior two ladies, she might be a little bit mildly attractive, right? And she's not a Christian. She's not really American, pro-American, this Rochelle Walensky woman. She's the CDC's scared doctor director who was appointed by sleazy Joe Biden to run the CDC. And she's running it into the ground. It's worse than it was before. Look at this little pet piece. Not a hit piece. What's the opposite of a hit piece? Puff piece? The CDC's new leader follows the science, says the failing New York Slimes. Is that enough? What an evil fake organization, right? The failing New York Slimes, following the science. There she is. A nice smile, I guess. Ridiculous. And she was even covered in Vogue. Vogue did a puff piece on her. By all accounts, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, says the New York Slimes, is a fierce advocate and empathetic scientist. Empathy is a liberal word, by the way, guys. Don't believe in empathy. That's feeling others' feelings. It's not a good thing. CDC advice must be better attuned to the real world, critics say. Yeah, you think? And here's her piece on Vogue. Science, not politics. Yeah, right. She's a liberal woman. She's all politics. She talks to the ladies, the women. I don't mean true ladies. She cries as she gets the vaccine, not because she's scared of needles, not because it hurts, but because she's an emotional woman. MD, MPH, I don't know, a master's in physical health or something like that, writes Vogue magazine's Rebecca Johnson on February of last year. Rochelle Walensky murmurs as a nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital pierces her deltoid with a needle. Usually it takes 10 to 15 years, this woman says. The fact that we have it in 1 year, she shakes her head in wonder. Yay for science, the nurse says. Yay for science, Walensky agrees. They don't say yay for Trump, because these people really love the vaccine, right? But they don't love Trump because they have no love at all. They're fake. So dumb, huh? So dumb. And by the way, just since I'm on this confusing CDC mess, before I get two calls for the first time today, the Morning Brew reported, and I said about the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Yeah, and by the way, said about the Ferrer, Barbara Ferrer, the skeleton-looking woman. You guys may know Skeletor if you're from the 80s, or if you're knowledgeable. That's the He-Man bad guy. Skeleton-looking woman from L.A. She has a PhD, according to Big Bump, in advanced studies in social welfare and a MD in education. See? MD in education? Whatever. A doctorate in education, I guess, and a PhD, a doctorate, in advanced studies in social welfare. What does that even mean? It's not even a real thing. Needle Nazi, says name. Needle commie, even worse. Anyway, the CDC further explained their decision to shorten the China virus. You know how workers are having to be out for 10 days if they test positive for the China virus? Well, they shortened it to 5 days, which is what the aviation industry, right? Airplane flying industry. They are like, we need to... She doesn't look like Skeletor, because Skeletor was buff. He-Man was, yeah, not morally straight. There's only one master of the universe. That's Jesus Christ. That's what I learned from my mother. The people flying the planes, you know how a bunch of flights were canceled over the holidays, not just for weather, but for testing positive for Omicron, which is not even that serious, I hear, for many people, right? Maybe it's killed a few. Maybe. I don't know. But they wanted to shorten the isolation period because this is ridiculous. We never even had to shut down in the first place, I say. Yeah, if you're sick, stay home, duh. But have some common decency. But not this forced stuff from the stupid local governments or federal governments or state governments. Anyway, according to the Morning Brew, they reiterated that testing isn't needed to re-emerge from quarantine. But that's confusing, and it's typical of it to be confusing because this is a woman-led operation and they're subject to pressure, much more so than even the males who are subject to pressure. I don't know. They're all females, basically, at heart, right? It's weird because when I read it from CNN, the CDC recommended you do a test, an at-home test, toward the end of your 5 days. And if you test positive, stay home for the full 10 days. And even if you test negative, avoid travel, avoid being in a place where you're not masked, where you can't be masked. Dumb, huh? What a mess. Ridiculous. Real quick, let me play this clip of the poor kids. It's an attack on kids. Ooh. I'm going to tell you more about the attack on kids, but I'll save that for later. I do want to get to some calls. Clip 11, though. Curtis Hoke tweeted this out. NBC's Today show does a segment about getting kids to wear, children, meaning, to wear KN95, meaning young, little N95 and N95 and surgical masks wherever they go. Plus, how N95s are great because they fit very snug and there's not a lot of air getting in around the sides, right? So you can't breathe any air. Sounds kind of funny, but listen to this little NBC Today clip from Curtis grabbed from Newsbusters, which is an MRC, Media Research Center. Listen to this.
They go all the way over your head. Not the most comfortable, but very, very snug. Not a lot of air is getting in between the sides of my cheeks or the tops of my cheeks.
Hey, Vic, the kids are back in the classroom, at least the overwhelming majority of them. What's the recommendation for our youngest learners?
You laughed at her hair.
Okay, so we talked to Dr. John Torres about this because I actually just sent my kids out the door this morning, minutes ago, with 2 masks. He says obviously the KN95 and N95 are the most effective, but it can be really hard to find them in small kid sizes. And also to keep them on your kids all day, they're not the most comfortable. So the second best option is to make sure you have a kid-size surgical mask. And by the way, look at what a difference the kid-size mask is from the adult size. So you really want to make sure you have one that fits your child's face. And you want to layer the cloth mask over that mask. So the surgical mask goes on first, and then the cloth mask. If you can't do that, surgical mask alone, Dr. Torres says least best, but better than nothing, the 2-layer cotton mask that fits your child. The best mask certainly is the one that your child will wear and keep on the whole day when they're in the classroom.
All right, good advice. All right, Vicky, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good advice. That's not good advice. Like, from what I understand, children are not as subject to this. They're not as prevalent in terms of being spreaders of this. I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know that I'm wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I've heard that unlike with the regular like flu and cold, you know how children, they go to school, one of them is sick with a normal sickness, not the China virus, and they like spread it to everybody. They get everybody else sick. I heard, and I don't know, but I thought that I heard, and it was old. It may be kind of old news, but it may still hold. I don't know. They change their mind on this stuff all the time, or they get new information all the time. That children are not tending to be the spreaders of this China virus. And this Omicron thing is not such a serious threat. What a mess, huh? What a mess. Mask kids. I've had callers who've called into my show and been like, I don't want my children covering their faces. And I understand that. I can definitely sympathize and appreciate. Of course, I mean, it's the right of the parents. What a mess. Terrible, huh? They want them double masked. Ridiculous. What a scam. And meanwhile, all the minorities, I'm blaming it on the minorities just ignorantly, but I think that I might be right. They're throwing the masks out. You know how people just litter thoughtlessly? I pick up litter. I've picked up way more litter than I have ever littered, if I've littered at all. I just have done it. Have just always been kind of like that. And, but these people, like, they drop their masks and the masks are polluting the ocean and all this mess. And you don't hear the fake environmentalists, the green is the new red commies, to complaining about that. They want to ban the plastic straws. And I've never littered a plastic straw in my life that I know of, that I can think of. What a mess. Terrible, huh? Ridiculous. I have more of this nonsense to share with you, but first, let me take a little break from the China virus mess. I will have more about the attack on the American children and the ridiculousness about China. But thank you for picking up litter, James. But let me get to Jeremiah from Louisiana. How are you doing, Jeremiah? I wasn't able to get to you yesterday. Thank you for calling back.
Yeah, no, it's all good. What's up, man?
Happy New Year.
Hey, you know the deal with that.
Do you guys celebrate like a Hebrew New Year or something? Do you guys count the years differently?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it based on the moon? I'm just trying to learn, man.
You trying to learn? I feel like you already know.
No, I really don't.
Well, you've heard.
No, I truly don't know.
Okay. Well, do you know the Gregorian calendar?
Gregorian calendar.
The Gregorian calendar.
I've heard of that. I've heard the Gregorian chant. So yeah, I think I have.
Yeah, that's.
Is it over in
what this is? But I'm glad you said something about them oil spills, right? So you do know that there's oil spills in the ocean, right?
Oil spills too. Yeah, I was talking about masks polluting the ocean, but yeah, I know that there are oil. I know that there are a lot of sloppy people out there, and they let oil into the ocean rather than capturing it for us.
Whose money actually is whose money is that? That's like Republicans' money, ain't it?
Republicans' money or the public's?
That's like the Republicans' money that basically endorses all that, right? Those oil rigs out there in the ocean and stuff.
I don't know, but I do know that there are some Republicans who are in the oil business, so I suppose you could say that.
Yeah, right. But
the Republicans don't want that money wasted. So what's your point? You're trying to go after is that supposed to be a hit on Republicans?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Really a hit on all of them, Republicans and Democrats. Clean it up, that's all.
Okay.
No, but like yesterday, the guy that called about this not being a Christian nation because of the LGBTQ and the disfiguration and this and that, right? He was 100% correct, and that's what I be talking about, Hank. Not only that, but like we be talking about the uncomfortable talks with the child trafficking things and all that stuff going on, right? And that's everybody. I feel like that's the higher ups are responsible for that, and whoever the higher ups, whoever you want to blame on that, it's a group of them.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's you or anybody that you know, or you know what I'm saying, people that's higher up on that. But
yeah, Trump was clamping down on the border, and he was going after that stuff. I heard.
Yeah. I heard the same thing, so I can't knock him on that. But I for some reason.
But that stuff is not from these items that you're mentioning are not from the founding of America. The only complaint that you have about the founding, I think, is that the whites took it from the American Indians, and we put you guys in slavery, which was God's will in the first place, according to you.
It basically the signs and the wonders that you would be able to tell who the chosen people are in the latter days are the very things that y'all ridicule and laugh at us about. That's how we know that we are the chosen people. We don't need DNA. We don't need Greek mythology, Greek language, none of that. We know based on the signs and wonders. The same things you point out is the very things that we know are the signs and wonders of why we are identified as those people.
Why don't you look at the spirit rather than the physical descendancy, though?
It's about the spirit. It definitely is about spirit. What the spirit is the word.
I know, but your spirit's so evil, though.
I say it again. Jesus said, the spirit quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. For the words that I speak to you, they are the spirit, and they are life.
But they're not giving you life because you like everybody can sense, well, not maybe at this moment, but people can sense the hatred within you, and that's not life.
No. The only reason you sense that is because when you interrupt me in the midst of my speech, I get aggravated, and certain things come out. You know what I'm saying? Some things, I may may take too far.
All right.
You know,
I
anyway,
appreciate that. But that's not an excuse for your spirit to get messed up. That means the evil spirit is in there, and it got awakened by my rudeness, if you will.
I mean, you can say that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Hank,
you got to look at yourself.
Look, I see where you're coming from, but I think we both agreed that we're not supposed to be in the same. I'm not supposed to live in your neighborhood. You're not supposed to live in my neighborhood, right? You said you don't want us living in your neighborhood, right? And I know why. I definitely know why. No, I get it. Your kids are supposed to play with my kids. You know what I'm saying?
And why?
It's a separation. Because it's a separation. God separated us. He separated the nation. The very reasons that you ridicule that the other nations, not just you, the other nations, Indians, Arabs, everybody that's in our communities right now that sell anything to us. You know what I'm saying? They ridicule us on certain things. The very things that they scoff us about, make fun of us about, are the very signs that we identify with. You know what I'm saying? Not all of us, because a lot of us don't know this. A lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of our people don't know this. I feel like a lot of the nations do know this, but they do it anyway to oppress us, to suppress and oppress us.
I don't know. You kind of lost me.
But I don't want to get too far into that. I wanted to talk about
segregation is not a bad thing, especially when it happens naturally. And this artificial forcing people together and these people trying to invade other people's spaces is not out of any type of love. And the black community, the reason that the blacks are hated so much is in part because of the attitude and the crime and the messiness. That is the primary complaint that I ever hear regarding blacks. So that's something that I think that the Israelites like to address. The Israelites by and large aren't for being criminals, I don't think. Or are they?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah,
no.
See? But then you complain about us when we're the best thing for the whites, and especially the whites, conservative Christians, have the values or espouse the values that would help the black community, but you're attacking the whites as oppressors and mess. Okay.
Now, 2 points. You said that we're the hated, we're the hated nation because of how we act and all of that.
Yeah, primarily.
And I understand that. Now, our approach on that, and you guys, Jesse Lee, and your doctrine approach is two different approaches. We recognize it, and we say, not to play any victim role, but we lost our heritage, right? And it's when you don't have a heritage, when you don't have, you said culture and all that. Okay, heritage is culture is very important. Heritage, and when you lose your identity, you don't know who you are. You kind of flash out. You're going to get mad. I don't know anyone that wouldn't. Everybody else has their heritage.
How about more directly and more clearly? It's the evil mothers, and they're not protected by fathers. Because by and large, those are the ones who end up the most criminal and the nastiest attitudes.
That goes with it, yeah. As a matter of fact, the fathers not being the homes definitely goes with it. And the moms having to raise the boys, yeah, definitely. But that's one of those signs and curses or signs of wonders that I was talking about. That's one of the curses that we identify with is the father being out of the home, and the kids not having a father. But the other point you said was that you guys have these I guess this way of living that would help us get to where we need to go to, or something like that.
Yes, and I'm specifically talking about the Christian conservative whites who are not talking about the degenerate fellow whites who are pushing degeneracy, as you may know,
including those rhino Republicans you're talking about. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so for that answer, you're specifically talking about law and order.
Yeah,
right?
Law and order, civilization, not having to lock your doors.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Now, with
trust.
that part,
high trust society.
Now, the guy said something about us being more athletic, more, all that. But we are smarter than you too. Here's why. Just let me hear me out. So God's laws and God's order. The thing he said was, you're not a Christian nation because you don't go by God's laws and you don't go by God's order. Now, conservatives, you do have a little bit. That's why we can agree on certain things. We can agree about the father being in the household. We can agree the father being the head of the house, the head of his wife.
And how about the excuse of racism all the time?
The racism thing, Hank, is racism. God is racist. What you were saying, I don't know how long ago.
Yeah, nature.
God is racist. God chose. Exactly. He chose a people.
So then they shouldn't complain about it.
On the nation. What was that?
So then the blacks who are complaining about racism should quit complaining and quit thinking that it's racism.
It's because they don't understand it. They don't understand it because they've never been taught it correctly. When I say I'm a nationalist, I am for my nation. The Most High is a nationalist. He is for his chosen people.
So should they quit complaining about racism?
It's because the reason they're complaining about racism is because Esau got it and he flipped it. He started playing with the left-hand power. When you play with the left-hand power... So you think this is real? You think they really have something to complain about? Just hear me out. So the laws that he was saying, the disfiguration, the homosexual, all of these, not just that, but the pollution, the holy days that you have. So this Gregorian calendar, this New Year's, Christmas, Easter, all of these holy days that you guys have are not God's holy days.
Okay.
But you guys know this. And I had scriptures for you, but I don't even know if I want to bring them out now. Because I'm basically getting it out now. But Luke said that you guys were going to try down Jerusalem until the Gentile time shall be fulfilled. And that time's not up yet. But that's what's going on. You know?
Anyway, I interrupted you. You were saying, yes, the father's is a bad situation and the morals and the crime and then I said, what about the fake racism complaints? And you basically said the racism is real.
Right.
What a mess. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Jeremiah. Anything else?
Can I get one scripture just for that, just for what you just said?
Okay.
I promise I'll be done.
All right.
Amos 3, starting at the top. It's talking to Israel. So I'm just going to go straight to 2. He says, "You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquity." That's why we're in this position that we're in, because we disobeyed God. And since he's only known us, we're his only family, his only son. He doesn't know the other families on the earth. He knows us. So that's why he punishes us. And that's the racism thing. That's everything in a nutshell, basically.
Oh, okay. Hydro gave a super chat and asks, why have whites allowed America to lower its standards for blacks, from education to their violent music, and now we are lowering the standards of law to accommodate their evil ways? Yeah, that's true. I don't know if you have any comment on that. But Jeremiah...
he said lowering the law and order to accommodate us?
Yeah.
Well, this judicial system is very corrupt. You can bribe
you can say that again.
You can do all that, right?
Kissing up to blacks.
It's not really, they didn't do it for us. They really did it for those white collar crimes and stuff like that, money laundering, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not us.
No. It's
not on us.
It's not for the benefit.
Everything's blamed on us because we are that hated nation that you were saying, that we're the bottom nation.
I mean, they're letting blacks out of jail, buddy. Anyway, man, I appreciate it, Jeremiah. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right. The longer your patch gets, the more uncomfortable I feel, James, says Jib Jab. I know. Oh, man, what a mess. I was looking up soul patch, and I got it from the whites in the 90s. Although it's not a bragging thing anyway. God is racist? Did I hear that correctly? It's something similar to what I said, because the complaints about this racism stuff it's just reality. People are acknowledging reality, and then they're being called racist for it. Give me a break. Left-hand path. What the? Asks Germanic Spaniard. I'm not sure where he got that. Some of you guys also may know about left-hand path. It's not something I'm into. Let me just double check. Oh, you know what? I forgot to read the last super chat from yesterday. The great, your girlfriend, stated, man, where do I have this? Missed this super chat from yesterday. Your girlfriend said, John is the most unlikable hater. Wow. Okay, your girlfriend. I take that as a compliment for Jeremiah. Man, harsh words for John. One more quick call, guys. Let me get to Brody, a first-time caller in Texas. Brody, thank you for calling. What's up?
How's it going, Hake?
Going well.
Hope all is well with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the greatest state this side of heaven, Texas.
Nice.
Not just Texas.
True.
So I researched Black
it's the
Hebrew
second
Israelite.
biggest to Alaska, but great you may mean in a different way.
Well, I haven't been to Alaska, so
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. I researched the Black Hebrew Israelite thing quite a bit, and one of the things I see in nature a lot, I live out in the woods, and one of the things I get to witness in nature is this beautiful thing I call redundancy, where nature has a seemingly infinite way of cleaning water, removing dead matter and recycling it into soil and this kind of thing. And I'm wondering why the Black Hebrew Israelite community thinks God is so stupid that he would violate redundancy, making all of his people one race. Or one skin color, rather.
All of his people, one skin color? That would violate redundancy?
Yeah, and redundancy seems like such an important thing. If we look at even how humans design things, we include redundancy in our power systems.
I don't understand what you mean by. I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, if all of God's chosen people are one skin color, then it would be easy to wipe them out through some sort of genocide program or something. It just doesn't. It doesn't seem like a secure way to do things.
Oh. Huh. I don't see where what that has to do with redundancy, but no, it's clear even in the Bible that he chose people from every nation to be his people. He opened it up for other people.
The way I look at it is there's 12 shades to the 12 tribes of Israel. You know.
Oh, you think of it? You think it's like that?
Well, I don't know if that's the exact number, but that's just something I think about.
No, you think that there are the different tribes of Israel were different shades of skin color?
Well, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't speculate about that stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I don't think it has.
Not speculating about it.
I don't think that they were necessarily much different looking. Because they were from 12 brothers. Joseph, in the coat of many colors, his brothers were the 12 tribes of Israel. Benjamin, Judah, Naphtali, Gad, Asher. I don't know. All those.
Yeah, I think God's people would be a diverse group, not just one skin color or one area of people.
I mean, there is satanic diversity. That's what you see in the world. And then there is the natural godly. I hate to even use the term diversity. It's been so poisoned by the liberals, the communists.
Boy, it has.
Yeah.
They seem to change the meaning of words quite frequently.
They try to skip the God part and bring in diversity, thinking that will get people used to each other and loving each other. But they don't really think that. They just want to take out the whites who are the most resistant to their anti-freedom and anti-God and anti-man ways and anti-white ways, really. They're the most fair-minded people right now for some reason. And so they hate whites.
I liked your comment when you were talking to Jeremiah about the spirit.
Yeah.
He started trying to narrow it down to a race thing, and you mentioned, well, what about the spirit?
Right. Because you can be King David's son, and King David's sons, some of them tried to kill him. They were not honorable men. A righteous king may have a son who ends up taking over for him, and he's an unrighteous king. You saw that over and over in Israel's history if you read the Old Testament. And that happens. Each man has to live his own life. And you don't just rest on your laurels thinking, oh, I'm an Israelite, which you're not even what you think that you are. What a mess. Terrible.
Yeah, it's strange how people can get these, I guess they get ideas in their head, and I don't know if they believe it or they're convinced that it's true.
Yeah, I know. I don't know either. The human, you would be shocked at the delusions that even to this day you carry, much less the delusions that other people see. You know what I mean?
To this day.
I don't know if much less is the
right I think
term.
Well, from my experience as I've been getting older and hopefully getting wiser, I take the approach of I don't know.
Yeah.
On a lot of topics, people will start asking me specifics where 10 years ago I would try to tell them sorry about the roosters in the background there.
Oh, cute. Nice.
Son has a little chicken business going on.
Right on.
But as I get older, a lot of things that I was convinced of back in the day, I'll just straight up say, I don't know. I like to think of it this way, but I don't know for sure.
Right. Yeah, man, that's true. I appreciate it, Brody. Interesting point. Yeah, and it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't make sense, and it's about the Israelite thing being so important. They're just on a trip. They've traded one delusion for another. What a shame.
I like how they read the Bible and that kind of thing. I do not think the Bible is the infallible word of God like they claim it is, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I like that because it doesn't really lead them to the truth. It makes them think that they're following the truth when in reality they're following their own egos. And they're all propping one another up.
Absolutely ego-driven.
Yeah.
That is an excellent point, yes.
Yep. Well, cool, man.
And then the ego wants them to recruit more into their little following. And
that's right. And to correct myself, I liked the point that JLP made. It's not their egos, it's the ego. The ego of evil, the spirit of evil controlling them.
Absolutely
false pride.
True. Well, hey, have a great day, man.
All right, you too, Brody. Happy New Year to you. Black Stepdad asks, was King David the same David as in David and Goliath? Yes, he was. Indeed, he was. Same David. David the shepherd boy who took out Goliath with a slingshot. The sling. I think it was a twirly sling. At least it was in the cartoon that I watched. And not one of the things that you stretch and slingshot like that. Anyway, he picked up 5 smooth stones from somewhere. And he used to do that with lions, protecting his sheep from the lions. Same David. A few more super chats. You know how I read, it's a great question from Hydro. Why have whites, before I get to calls, and the crazy stories, why have whites allowed whites, to lower its standards for blacks? Cowardice. Woman thinking. You know how women will be all soft-handed and easygoing on the just outright vicious, nasty crimes. Oh, let's not have the death penalty. From education to their violent music and sexual stuff too. And now they're promoting like the black transgenders and all that stuff. And now we are lowering the standards of law to accommodate their evil ways. And Jeremiah made the claim, my first caller, that they lowered the law for white-collar crimes that whites commit. And your girlfriend stated on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@the-Hake Report. Wow, I had no idea vandalism, breaking and entering, arson, and petty larceny were white-collar crimes. And you may have heard on the J.C. Lee Peterson show, on whose network I stream, that I think they got rid of, like, certain armed robbery and stuff like that. Like, one of the DAs from Chicago or New York or somewhere liberal, this DA is advising people, don't try for putting them in jail unless extreme circumstances. So wrong. Dan East says, nice watch, Hake. Thank you, man. It is a nice watch. It's Casio. I thought it was an American brand, but I guess it's Japanese. Yikes. What a shame. Man. I got it. I owe it to Rick in Maine to get to him. Actually, he gave me a call. I wasn't able to get back to him. But Rick in Maine, I'm glad you called. How are you doing?
Hey, not bad. Not bad, my friend. You?
Doing well. Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. I was trying to get back to you about this situation you was talking about Monday with the RF power and cell towers and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me chuckle when people start touting off about things they don't know a thing about. You know, they did away with the brick cell phone years ago. That one was overpowered.
That big one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did create some problems as far as brain damage and everything was concerned.
I remember hearing that Rush Limbaugh fastened one to his head to mock the people who were saying, oh, it causes brain damage. But it turned out that is true.
It was at that level. Those cell phones put out about 5 watts of microwave energy.
Wow.
Energy frequency. And these ones we have nowadays, they're only at 200 milliwatts. So they're nowhere near the power that they had years ago when they had those brick cells. That's what we used to call them, bricks, because they were shaped like a brick, about as heavy.
Yeah.
But no, they are not anywhere near the magnitude that they used to be.
Okay.
I've been in radio since 1970, and I hold the highest class license in amateur radio there is, which is an amateur extra. I also have a volunteer examiner card. I give the tests now. I don't take them anymore.
Wow.
So, you know, it's simple things that I hear a lot of people talking about, claiming that they caused COVID. Are you kidding me?
Right.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. No. If that was the case, we'd all be dead because we all have cell phones, pretty much to the point.
And the cell phones, a lot of them have 5G, huh?
Well, that's a new technology that they're coming out with, and it's good. It's going to be good, but it doesn't take anything to block the signal. I mean, you can come to a front of a store, have a 5G signal, step in, and the glass inside the store is going to block the signal, and you're going to lose your signal.
Oh, really? Wow.
So it's not all what it's piped up to be. You know.
Oh.
Just not. It's good in ways, but if you do any traveling like I do, 5G is not going to work.
Is it a microwave weapon?
It's not a weapon, but it is microwave.
Okay.
If you say you had a safety device on a microwave door that didn't work, you stuck your hand in there and turned it on, you're going to have a hot hand real quick.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why they have those safety devices. And the FCC is very adamant about keeping things where they should be as far as power is concerned. I still have a little bit of authority with those people too, by the way.
Mr. Sandman says watts is current or voltage, and microwave signals are measured in dBm, not wattage. Do you know what he's talking about?
decibels, dB, decibels.
dBm?
Yeah, it's to do with decibels. I forgot the terminology now. But yeah, I know what he's talking about. You got a signal that's up around 1.2 gigs or 1.1 gigs, whatever the case may be. Anything above 800 megahertz is microwave. So when you get into microwave territory...
Oh, okay. Decibel milliwatts.
Milliwatts, there you go.
Okay.
That's the word I couldn't think of. But
so how many dBm is 5G?
Now, I can't tell you because I don't know that much about it yet.
Okay.
I don't know that much about 5G. But the higher you get in frequency, the more susceptible it is to signal blockage. Unless you've got a clear shot at the antenna that's receiving your signal. You have to have a direct line of sight in order for that to work properly.
Okay. Huh.
So, and, it's pretty much all the way through any of the frequencies that's used.
Will it
can be anything to block it? It'll stop it.
Will it fry our brains slowly? Asks Jib Jab.
No, not at that level. Not at that level. If it was anything above 200 milliwatts at microwave frequency, yeah, you could have a problem with it.
Do people get cancer from this stuff? Cell phone towers and things?
Not from the towers, because that antenna's at such an altitude, it's way up above your head. And their power output is regulated as well.
Huh.
They can't have any more than what the FCC has set for power level that's output. So, it's anytime that you go anywhere, you lose cell signal. Okay, fine. You should already know what it is. You've got something between you and that cell tower that's blocking your signal. Come back into the clear, your cell gets a better shot at that tower, a clearer shot, visible-wise, and you're going to get your signal back.
That's why this 5G towers are going up everywhere, so signals are not lost?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's an expensive technology that's
and
coming
it's just
out.
overworked.
I'm not sure how it's going to work.
It's just overclocked 4G?
Yes and no.
Oh.
Yes and no, because you've got so much traffic on 4G, they had to go to something different, which was 5G.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like I said, it's a higher frequency, so you're going to have more interruption with your signal from your phone to the cell tower.
Yeah. What a mess.
Oh yeah, it's technical, yes. There's a lot to it, yes.
And the long-term results, we don't really know, huh?
No, not until it's
there is a possibility that it could be doing something bad to us that we're not really conscious of. Don't they say not to keep the cell phone on your person too much, too close to you and all that stuff?
Too long, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is on a magnetic holder on the dash. It's about 2 feet away.
Yeah.
And I use a headset that's tethered by Bluetooth to it. But anytime that you've got a high frequency like that, it's a very good possibility it can do some damage.
Okay.
But
yeah, I've heard that you're supposed to keep the Wi-Fi at least. Don't sleep with the Wi-Fi closer than 3 feet away. In fact, some say turn off your Wi-Fi and stuff like that, and all that.
Yeah.
Turn off your phone entirely. Some people say, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Rick.
They've done several studies on all this stuff, so they'll let us know if something goes awry. So.
Yeah. Right.
Just another real quick note, James.
Yeah.
These people, I don't care what color you are. If you're coming over here, or you live here, or you were born here, and you don't like my country, you don't like the way that we people do things in this country, very simply, pack your stuff and go to your favorite country that you wish to have the way you think you ought to be, and go live there.
Yeah.
People
I agree.
think it's so easy to become communist or socialist. Buy yourself a plane ticket and go to one of those countries and live there for a year, and then come back and tell me
Yeah.
that I'm not right.
Yeah, like America wants to become more like the rest of the world. Give me a break. We're already doing that too much.
We're not lemmings. We don't run for the cliff just like everybody else does.
I hope not. Thank you, man.
Yeah, really. Have a good one, buddy. Thanks
you too.
for the time.
All right, thank you. Bye. A quick super chat from Lord Bibby 42. We are 5 days into the new year, and we are still in the midst of James Hake's birthday celebration extravaganza. Happy birthday, Hake. Eat some cake. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. That's kind of you. Before I get back to calls, I have Rich, a first-time caller from Victorville, California, the great Victorville, California, coming up after the top of the hour. I just want to present a little bit of news from China. Well, actually, first from this Australian Open thing. You know how the tennis players are going around? Tennis players are pretty fit people, right? Most of them, by and large, right? Especially the elites, the truly great. The far-left female-run outlet, The Skim, says Novak Djokovic, probably butchering that name. Yesterday, the Australian Open, which is a tennis tournament, right, said the tennis star had a medical exemption for their China virus vaccine requirement, allowing Djokovic, Djokovic, to play later this month. Nice. The tennis competition still requires all other players and staff to be so quote-unquote vaccinated, pending an exemption, right? The move's got people saying Djokovic, who's a vaccine skeptic, by the way, is getting special treatment. Well, how about we just open it up for freedom, especially for young, healthy athletes? Am I right? Ridiculous. Most of them I don't think that they need it. I wonder how much their quote-unquote vaccine protects others around them. Rolling my eyes, shaking my head. Have to actually do it so I don't present fake news to you. His nickname is Novaks. Nice. Number 1 tennis player in the world, by the way. Well, congratulations. Is he an American? I don't know. I don't think so. He previously said he didn't want to be. Nice. Right on. That's cool. China's overreaction to the lame China virus. They shut down a whole city. Commies. I guess I don't want to be China either. Nearly all of the 13 million residents of the Chinese city of Xi'an, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Xi'an, have been quarantined in their homes since late December. Wow, according to the Morning Brew. And some have resorted to bartering due to shortages of food and supplies. One video circulating on Chinese social media shows a resident trading a Nintendo Switch for a packet of noodles and 2 buns. Wow, Xi'an. In late December, households were forced to quarantine by the government. One family member was permitted to go on a grocery run every 2 days, but they've tightened the rules now. Now residents must rely on government workers to provide daily necessities, but have flocked to social media to complain they're not getting enough. Rationing, commies. Unlike most other governments, China has followed a zero COVID strategy. But the rest of the governments are no good either. I'll tell you about that. Zero COVID strategy. And they've cut off movement to and from any area that reports even a single case, like Wuhan in the winter of 2020, right? Xi'an reported, I'm butchering the name probably, over 1,600 cases in the last 2 weeks. Cases. I wonder how many deaths. They don't care about their people. On Monday, a second large city, Chinese city, Yuzhou, was locked down after 3 cases were reported. They're frantically trying to contain the China virus ahead of the Beijing Winter Olympics and Chinese New Year. They call it Lunar New Year, but we all know it's Chinese New Year. But it's based on the moon, which is in February, I hear, usually. You guys going to do the firecracker 10K in Chinatown in LA? Anybody going to do that? I used to do that. Anyway, guys, I have more on this China melodrama, but we are at the top of the hour, and I do want to get to Rich, who wants to talk about God is racist, before I get back to the mess regarding China. But before all that, it is Christmas still. Believe it or not, tomorrow is Epiphany. And it's not just the January 6th holiday commemorating the heroes who protested the mess up at the Capitol. Okay, some of them are not heroes, okay? But it is also Epiphany, which is also called January 6th, which is also called Armenian Christmas. So for that reason, and because I like these Christmas songs, I am playing Sufjan Stevens, and the track is entitled, That Was the Worst Christmas Ever. Enjoy, and I'll be back for hour 2, the rest of it. Hang tight, guys.
Going outside, shoveling snow in the driveway. Taking our shoes, riding a sled down the hillside. Can you say what you want? Can you say what you want to be? Can you be what you want? Can you be what you want? Our father yells, throwing the gifts in the wood stove. My sister runs away, taking our books to the schoolyard. In time the snow will rise, in time the snow will rise. In time the Lord will rise, in time the Lord will rise. Silent night, holy night. Silent night, nothing feels right.
Hake on banjo, says Misty. Not true. Not true. But somebody says, and I think that it is true, dude sings like a girl. Sufjan wears fairy wings on stage, says Robert Mobley. And I think that that's not even made up. It sounds like, I know that when you listen to his soft, lilting voice, reminds me of Aventura. Romeo Santos. Or worse. I like that banjo, says Jib Jab. But yeah, he actually, I think I saw a picture of it. It's gross. This guy's a liberal. And he's pro-LGBTIQ. Lefty music? Yes, it is. Terrible things. Not good. Let me see. Wanted to double check because I thought I saw a super chat come in. Hold on. Perhaps it was my imagination running away with me. But I saw some people posting pictures of, what are those things called? Those things are called soul patches. Anyway, I got to get to Rich, a first-time caller in Victorville, California. I do remember there was one thing I wanted to read, but I'll get to that later. Rich, how are you doing?
Hake.
Hey.
I'm doing okay. I just wanted to call about Jeremiah. I heard you guys talking. I want to talk about how I agree with him and I disagree with him.
Okay.
He's wrong in the fact that he talks about black people, white people hating black people. I tell black people all the time, white people have no problem with that. They hate Chinese people. Right?
Say that again. White people have no problem, something, hate Chinese people?
I tell black people all the time, you people are not a threat to white people. White people have no problem with you. They actually worship. They hate Chinese people. And he's right in the fact that God is racist because just think about this, Hake. Why do Mexicans eat tamales and stuff?
Because it's Christmas.
Because that comes from the Native Americans. Because the majority in this country, are natives. Right? This is not your land, the white man's land. This is the natives' land. Right? Can we agree for that?
No, we cannot agree to that.
Well, there you go. That's my proof that God is racist. Because you're a Christian, right?
Yes, I am a Christian.
And I tell black people all the time, you got to stop being professional victims. Don't get me wrong. He's right, though, in a sense, because if black people would ever rise, you guys will do to them what you do to China, right?
What do we do to China?
Chinese people are the wealthiest. They made your phone, that laptop you have. They surpassed America, right? So you guys created the China virus, just like the Black Plague, Spanish flu, right?
We created the China virus?
Yes.
What a mess.
It was a bioweapon created by a white person. And you go to China, right? Black people.
You're saying right. You're saying right, like you think I agree with you.
No, it's a fact.
No, I don't know that that's a fact. You're just saying whatever comes to your mind.
Hey, that's what I wanted to say about Jeremiah, though.
Okay.
If you look at the word indigenous, it's an anagram of disingenuous. If you take the T from native, it's not. If you take the T from native, it's naive. His panic.
What a mess.
The definition of panic is uncontrollable fear or anxiety because some people were targeted more than others for a reason. It's why Trump said what he said about Mexicans, even though you people are the pedophiles, the rapists, the nasty people, right?
Not true.
But he wants to scapegoat Mexico because why?
Because it's happening for a lot in Mexico and from Mexicans. Are you Mexican?
No, I'm American, Native American, too. My people were here before all you people. That's
you don't know that.
Majority.
You don't know that.
No. Can I prove it to you?
No, you cannot.
Canelo Alvarez.
What about him?
He's the number one pound-for-pound boxer in the world. Not even only boxer, the number one athlete, most marketable athlete.
Isn't he light-skinned?
This is what I'm going to tell you.
Isn't he light-skinned?
Yeah, he looks like you, and there's a lot of people in Mexico who look like you.
That's because they have white blood.
Yes, listen to what I'm about to say, bro.
So are you trying to say that he's your proof that you are the indigenous people? What a mess.
He's the number one.
So do you think that you're So do you think you're a Hebrew Israelite?
No, I'm telling you why he's the number one marketable.
Do you think you're part of the? Do you think that you're part of the Hebrew Israelites?
Because he has the support of the natives, the mixed natives, the Europeans, the whole Latin population. It's all about demographics. That's why he's the number one marketable. It's all about money, right? That's what I'm saying.
What a mess. You're all over the place, man. It's hard to communicate with you. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
No, see,
haven't you called from some other part of the country, too? Anyway. Are you from Are you really from Victorville, California?
So you're just going to cut me off? Like, I thought you were a Christian.
Are you from Victorville, California?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's a yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, man. Very enlightening.
And about the Jeremiah stuff, Hake, you know why he's right also?
I got to go, man. What a mess. But thank you for your call, sir. I appreciate it. Let me get to a real call. Like, that guy wasn't making sense. Nick in UK. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You?
I'm fine. Thank you, sir.
Is the line okay, or?
It's okay. I can make out what you're saying.
Spare me 1 minute. What I'll do, because I'm on my headphones, I'm just doing some exercise, you see. Let me take you off my headphones. And
okay. All right. Yeah, I think that'll be better. He was doing exercise, I guess, people.
Hello?
That's a lot better, I think.
Cool. Yeah, it was just a quick call. I hope you guys have had a good, Christmas and New Year's and everything to the whole team.
Yeah, you
hope
too.
everyone is well. Yeah, it was just basically what's happened in the UK. There's a documentary that's been released. I feel like it's something that your audience would want to listen to, and it's very, very important that they do listen to it because it's regarding an issue that's been affecting them, with illegal immigrants coming into the country. It's a documentary called The Rape of Britain.
The Rape of Britain? Of Britain?
Yes, The Rape of Britain.
And that's a documentary that you recommend. Okay.
Yeah. And
I feel like I might have heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
To be honest with you, I don't really want to go into it too much, but
okay.
It is immigrants.
No problem.
Coming into the country with no values, Christian values.
Is it? And that's and you're saying it's a documentary? Because when I search it...
Well, it's a document. To be honest with you, it's not a documentary. Well, it is a documentary in terms of that it provides information of actual groomers that are actual grooming right now as we speak.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's something that's... I don't know what the classification or the definition of documentary is, but I believe, for me, I think it's informative for everyone to have a look into it and, make their own judgments and use their own common sense and see what they think of it. And, that's all, that's all I wanted to say. It's by a guy, a nationalist of the UK, who's not racist at all. He has brown friends, he has Asian friends, he has all sorts of friends.
You don't have to qualify it, man. That's embarrassing.
Huh?
You don't have to qualify it, man. That's embarrassing.
No, but
there's no such thing as racism.
I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, like a lot of your
every so-called racist has other color friends. Even the actually evil people, like the blacks and a lot of the blacks and the Jews who are full of hatred for whites, full of hatred for everybody, but they have their favorite whites. Oh, you're one of the good ones. So it doesn't mean anything to be qualifying it like that. Don't say it like that. But anyway, who's the person who came up with this?
Well, the guy that's created it is called Tommy Robinson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've all heard of him. I think I've played some of his stuff before.
He's a bit suspect on my side because, he kind of works with the Jews.
Uh-huh.
In certain narratives, if that makes sense to you guys.
He's kind of palatable, mainstreamish.
Well, to be honest with you, he is mainstreamish within the country because the poor are being affected by these criminals, and the poor have nowhere else to speak to, who to speak to. The police are
just him.
Uncomplicit. They do not help. They do not protect. They do not serve. And this story, personally touches me because something like this happened to my sister 40 years ago. And, within our community, we've been trying to raise this awareness and no one has listened. The people of this country have not listened.
Yeah.
And now it's on their, the problem is still there. It's gone beyond their doorstep. It's in their house now. And they still don't understand.
Say that one more time. Hello? You cut out, buddy. I cannot hear you. Nick, going once. Nick, going twice. Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, there you cut out. You cut out.
I'm still here. Sorry.
So there's a book called The Rape of Britain from 1977, something like that, by a man named Colin Amory. Does that have anything to do with it?
It's not a book. It's just recently come out. To be honest with you, I think you guys will have problems.
Originally published.
Have to go
Originally published 1975. It's a book, The Rape of Britain. But it may not be. It may not be related.
It's not, well, to be honest with you, I believe that this will be heavily censored, what I'm telling you right now.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for bringing it to my show.
And it's one of them. Pardon?
I said, thanks for bringing it to my show, so my show can get censored.
Well, you know what it is, guys. You guys are live. You guys are truth speakers. You know what? It's a responsibility for me to speak the truth. Otherwise, I might as well just cower down and hide under the bed.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to hide.
No, you got.
I heard that his car was blown up.
Yeah,
I heard he was car bombed.
Exactly.
Is that true?
Yes, exactly.
Tommy Robinson's car bombed.
Yes,
allegedly.
It's because what he's done is he has infiltrated like the whole country, like the whole world has been infiltrated, but we've not made it. He has not made it public. Okay, he's not made it aware to the enemy that what's going on. He's only let the enemy know now, and he's got all the evidence, he's got all the footage, he's got all the proof, and he's making them sweat now.
Okay. All right.
And that's what to do.
I appreciate him if he's really fighting for what's right and exposing the truth. I've heard good things about him. I've heard bad things.
I've heard, as well as you, I've heard, positive and negatives as well. But this documentary is something that will affect every father, every mother, because they have young children. In what book does it say it's acceptable to, to abuse, like a 9-year-old, over a 9-year-old? In other books, it says 3 years and 1 day.
You're talking about in Islam?
In Islam, various books out there. Like there is Christianity, the religion of truth. There are other religions out there of deception as well.
Yep. True. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the tip. I was not aware of all this stuff going on. But
you won't be. Censorship is at its peak.
Yeah, I know. Well, you think it's really peaked? I think it's still getting going, man. But yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you know what? Awareness and if you speak the truth, you've got nothing to got nothing to worry about, have you? The truth is the truth. End of the day.
You have to live the truth too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, you guys keep it up and look into it.
Okay.
And if there's any anything you're interested in or anything, just speak the truth, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Cool.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Bye. Yeah. Islam's not the only threat. That's for sure. Azzmador with the super chat. Oh, let me read this as a super chat. Azzmador with the super chat on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@ the Hake Report. Tommy Robinson, controlled opposition. He screeches about how bad racism is. Wow, man. He's 39 years old, by the way, 5'7", and has made a big deal about not letting so-called Nazis into his group. Yeah. Pushed around, intimidation, fear, you are controlled. He had black and Muslim chapters in his old group, but if a white person was pro-white, he made them Nazis according to him. What a shame. Somebody mentioned Mark Collette. Did you know that JLP interviewed Mark Collette a few years back, and Mark Collette interviewed JLP. That's another British man. Also, Tommy Robinson is not his real name. He has a Jewish name. Yeah, I think I heard that before. Reminds me of that Jack Murphy, which real name is like John Goldman. I heard. What a mess. Anyway, that's not my beef, but thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Let me get to this ridiculous stuff. China melodrama, right? Yes, they are clamping down on their citizens. That's their citizens' fault, basically, right? Corrupt country. And then they come in here and be shysters and stuff, right? Not all. But come here and vote liberal, even the so-called honest ones. Give me a break. The far-left female-run outlet, The Skim, states people are calling out Tesla. The electric vehicle company is facing backlash after opening a showroom last week in China's China's Xinjiang region. Since 2017, the Chinese government has cracked down on Uyghurs. Uyghurs? Those are the Muslims? Uyghur Muslims? What a name, huh? Uyghur. Uyghurs. And other so-called ethnic minorities. Oh, yeah, just because of their ethnicity. Not because they have a totally divergent culture from them, from what they want, what they want, and subversive. And not because the Uyghur Muslims, have been committing terror attacks on their people. And they have. Knife attacks, killing 10, killing 30 people at train stations. Innocent people. I can't blame China for cracking down on that. We should crack down on them like that. Maybe not exactly like that. We're Christians, but we can do it a lot tougher than the fake Christian stuff that we're doing right now. Detaining more than 1 million people. Nice. So I guess we're not the most incarcerated country in the world anymore, are we? Or are we? I don't know. There have been reports that Uyghurs have been kept in forced labor camps and that women have been sterilized. Doesn't sound good. Last month, Congress passed legislation, U.S. Congress, who support abortion. I'm shaking my head. Banning all imports from the region unless businesses can prove the goods were made without forced labor. Oh, yeah, we're not for slavery. Except you'll tax us to death. Yeah, you are for slavery, phony people. But Tesla enjoys a lot of privileges in China, including getting to operate a factory there without Chinese involvement. Now, human rights, buzzword. Human rights is communist. Human rights is anti-human. Human rights are for abortion. Killing babies in the womb. Human rights is fake. Human rights is anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-men, and it's globalist, socialist, global homo. It's for the LGBTIQ mess. It's not for Christians, human rights groups. And U.S. phony politicians like Rhino Marco Rubio from Florida, the senator, are calling out the company Tesla for helping to cover up genocide and slave labor in the region. Give me a break. Deal with the violations of basic rights happening here in America. I don't hear you guys speaking up about that or doing anything. They're telling Tesla to pull out of China. Give me a break. Commie capitalists here in America. Airbnb, according to Morning Brew. This is just more side notes. Stuff going on in America, okay? Airbnb. That's that far left Uber type company that lets, you get this app called Airbnb and you book a room or you're hosting and you can stay in somebody's room at somebody's house and you book it on through the internet on the app, right? The mobile app. Airbnb. And by the way, they got accused of racism. And so who did they hire? The most evil person, anti-white person. One of the most, I don't know. Eric Holder. You know, the former so-called attorney general who was held in contempt of Congress for stonewalling the Fast and Furious thing, and wants to brainwash people against guns. He's Obama's attorney general, a scumbag. Airbnb hired that guy to help them fight the racism within the app. Announced that they're going to block hosts. So you're an Airbnb host, right? And you let people stay at your place. Well, they're going to block you from seeing the full names of guests in Oregon. And that's in an effort to curb racial discrimination. And you know why the racial discrimination crops up? Say, I don't know, they have like a Muslim name. Or I don't know if they're doing that to the Muslims. Or say you have a black-sounding name. Then you've had too many bad experiences with black customers, right? So you're like, no more. Well, you don't have that right to discriminate anymore. The commie capitalist, and I do mean commie, anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-basic rights, fake capitalist company Airbnb with a former government official. I don't know if Eric Holder is still involved, but that guy's a sleazy scumbag. To discriminate. What a shame, huh? by the way, furthering the attack on whites, the Redskins. You know, the Washington Redskins, that professional football team from, I think, Washington, D.C. I don't think it's Washington. No, it's not Washington State. According to the Morning Brew, the Washington football team, they changed their name in like July of 2020 to Washington football team because they're cowards. Pushed around. I say they're cowards. Am I wrong? Pushed around by falsely accused of being racist. Stupid. They'll announce a new name and a new logo February 2nd. What a shame. Which is Groundhog Day, by the way, right? Terrible. And it's an attack on the kids, children. And it's not just the China virus hype that they're attacking the children with. And it's not just CRT, critical race theory stuff. It's the whole racism propaganda. It's an attack on the kids, brainwashing the kids. And it's not just LGBTIQ propaganda. And they pretend they're protecting the children. We have this evil person who's pretending to be, thinks he's president, right? Sleazy Joe Biden. He said before he was elected, if an 8-year-old thinks that he's a woman, a little girl, he should be able to become a little girl. What an evil scumbag. Am I wrong? Sorry, kids, parents, adults saying scumbag all the time? Calling names. Daily Wire. Based Daily Wire. January 4th report by Luke Rosiak. Schools got $130 billion to reopen. Did you hear this? Did you hear about this? From the sleepy Biden administration. Some of it went to CRT, the critical race theory, fake stuff. Now many are closed. This is kind of a long report, but listen to this. Many schools are not resuming classes this year, as this year begins, citing the China virus. On sleepy President Sleazy Joe Biden's first day in office, he told Americans that delivering $130 billion in supplementary funding to schools through his American Rescue Plan, ARP, would provide schools with the resources they need to reopen safely. NPR headline, Biden administration proposes $130 billion to help schools reopen. Back in March of last year, 2021, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, not a Christian, Democrat from New York, said there's no replacement for having kids in the classroom. We need to get our schools to reopen as quickly and safely as possible because parents were catching on to the degenerate brainwashing of their children by overhearing stuff that was going on over Zoom through the computer, right? Now, to my Republican colleagues, they've made a lot of noise about reopening our schools, but they don't want to dedicate any resources, meaning money, to actually getting it done because it's fake. This month, schools in numerous districts will indeed still be closed. Inability to deal with the Omicron variant. You know, that thing that some have described it as a mild cold. I don't know. Despite receiving money that could have gone towards mitigation, protection, and preventative measures, in August, the Department of Education published strategies. That's the federal Department of Education that was supposed to be closed by Reagan. Published strategies for using the money. Rebuilding from COVID-19 is an opportunity. Build back better. Stupid. Evil. Communist. Anti-white. The document stated for a cultural shift and establishment of equitable practices. There's that buzzword. Equitable practices. One example of how a district is using performance assessment, writes the Department of Education, in a culturally and linguistically responsive way, is the Chicago Public Schools, Chicago Public Schools, Curriculum Equity Initiative. Chicago earmarked $32 million of American Rescue Plan money to a comprehensive, culturally responsive curriculum developed through the Curriculum Equity Initiative. The union is voting on Tuesday to whether to switch to remote learning. So they're not reopening. It's a lie. It was a lie. Milwaukee, where is that? Wisconsin, right? I think. Allocated $24 million of of the American Rescue Plan, more like America Trash Plan, right? To social emotional learning, $100,000 for anti-racism and bias. Anti-racism, anti-white. Hat tip to whoever said that, White Rabbit Radio and all you people. Bias, and everybody knows that it is, even without them saying that. Anti-racism and bias professional development. It will not be conducting classes in person until at least January 10th. California earmarked $1.5 billion. It's all over the country to provide school districts with training resources, blah, 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 in high-need topics, specified in high-need topics. Accelerated learning, re-engaging students, restorative practices, implicit bias training. Implicit bias is another word for racism. They use that term because they don't want to use the term racism because everybody rolls their eyes at the term racism. So they came up with another word, implicit bias. Ridiculous. New York, other side of the country, relief plan. Opportunities to learn greatly expanded for all students when strong principles of diversity, that's not a principle. Equity, not a principle. Inclusion, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. One guy, a black guy on Tucker Carlson said it's DIE, die, diversity, inclusion, equity. Those are not principles. Those are not strong. Those are weak. They're destructive. They're evil. Teaching students about privilege and their identities. That's not real identity. Corning Painted Post School District over there in New York State. They're using American Rescue Plan money for the Equity Collaborative. Best known for its work in Loudoun County. That's where you've heard about those parents. When one father got arrested, his daughter was allegedly raped by a weirdo-looking guy who she'd been having sex with him before, so she was kind of degenerate. But the point is, a lot of parents were complaining and protesting in Loudoun County, and it's the government against the parents, against the people, and they're brainwashing the children. The 5 tenets of critical race theory is the Corning Painted Post School District's Equity Collaborative, paid for by American Rescue Plan. Evil, huh? Buffalo Public Schools up in New York. $1.2 million of the money for culturally and linguistically responsive initiatives. Hiring staff for anti-racism and for emancipation curriculum materials. Black female. It sounds black female intellectual to me. Emancipation curriculum advocates to elementary school students the disruption of Western nuclear family dynamics in favor of black villages. In other words, you don't have fathers. That's not your problem. Let's go to the black village thing. Remember Hillary Clinton? You may not remember. Hillary Clinton says it takes a village to raise a child. Michigan promoted using an equity lens to apportion money. See, I told you it's just a scam. It's all a scam. Detroit, Ann Arbor, Oak Park, Lansing, Pontiac, Southfield, online, all online. So they're not even opening the schools. Virginia is going to spend money on a roadmap to equity, which draws from Ibram X. Kendi. That's that black radical scumbag. Sorry, kids. Sorry, parents. Using that word scumbag again. Kids, don't call your parents scumbag. Unless they are. Well, I don't know. Watch yourselves. But Ibram X. Kendi wrote that anti-racist baby thing and how to be an anti-racist. You should be deported or thrown in jail. Washington State, American Rescue Plan funds with a lens of educational equity. Massachusetts, the first state to introduce so-called same-sex marriage in the country. Little old Massachusetts up in New England. What a disgrace. Hire race consultants like Kaleidoscope Collective. Engage robust agency-wide anti-racism training. Use a portion of American Rescue Plan's ESSER create a culturally responsive, anti-racist, and welcoming environment. You can't be anti-racist and welcoming. Stupid. It just means you hate white people. Minnesota, using the money for racial stressors, social inequities, gender identity, brainwashing the children. Oregon incorporated an equity-informed anti-racist stance, and they spelled anti-racist all one word. You know, there's the subversive people who want to brainwash you. They get rid of hyphens. I covered the anti-Semitism thing. They try to get rid of the hyphen. So if you want to appear like you're really anti-Semitic, get rid of the hyphen in between anti-Semitism or an anti-racism. Then you'll convince people. You'll look legit. Anti-oppressive stance through its application. This is Oregon we're talking about. One of the whitest states, is it not? Or no, maybe not. Nevada, funding on equity and diversity training and professional development. Nevada, not Nevada. Restorative justice. That's that fake Christian talk. Restorative justice. So phony. Rhode Island. Oh, Washoe County up in Nevada. Equity and diversity specialist. Going to hire it with a ARP, American Rescue Plan. Evil. Rhode Island. Little old Rhode Island. Is that the smallest state in the world? In the country, I mean? Or is that Delaware? I don't know. I'm confused. Rhode Island said they would center all actions from an orientation of cultural responsiveness and anti-racism that promotes something, SEL, and wellness, and address the deep systemic inequities that existed before the scamdemic. Biden said the Omicron variant, you know, that mild cold alleged thing, is not a reason to close schools. I believe we should remain open. They have what they need because of the American Rescue Plan. We provided the states with $130 billion. Billion with a B. Phony Joe. Like he didn't know this was going to happen. Scumbag. Hate going to name all the states. I know. To keep our students safe and keep schools open, funding for ventilation. That's what Sleazy Joe said. Progressive activists made no secret that the bill was not actually written that way. Yeah. The money is spread over 5 years, not only intended to directly address the emergency China virus, right? In April, the failing New York slimes, as Trump rightly calls it, published an op-ed headlined, "A progressive vision is possible if we spend money thoughtfully now." And they said that the APS funds actually have fewer strings attached to them than this parallel funds from the Spanish flu. Was it the Spanish flu that Obama's thing? I don't know. Obama had a crazy flu too, right? And there was more strings attached. Nothing stopping them from being used to address racial and economic inequality. So evil. So sick. Omicron, fatal to Bigfoots. Rhode Island is the smallest state. Delaware is pretty small too. Connecticut also, says Viewer USA. Thank you. Austin 316 says, I say anti-white without the hyphen. You are a true believer. Portland is in a dangerous state. People are sheeps in wolves' clothing. What? Interesting. Yeah, maybe so. You know, since I'm on this kick, let me tell you about the poor little Indian kids. Yeah, H1N1. That's what it was. Poor little Indian kids. The far-left female-run outlet The Skim reported paying up. It's not just an attack on America. It's an attack on Canada, too. Oh, Canada. Canada just reached the largest settlement in its history since the 1990s, according to The Skim. And it might be the 1890s, but I think they say the 1990s. They say tens of thousands of so-called Indigenous children have been separated from their parents and placed in state care. In many cases, the families were suffering from issues like poverty, not abuse. The Canadian government did not fund services on reserves as it did for non-Indigenous children, so-called Indigenous children. So is the Canada set up the way that America's set up, where we let these people have their reservations, like Indian reservations, right? And they're basically their own country. So why should Canada fund them? Anyway. So Indigenous children reportedly received 70 cents on the dollar compared to other Canadian kids. Look at this. And then they're using the children, the American Indians up in Canada. I call them that. Some people call them First Nation or Indigenous. No. Look at them. They're holding up signs. Every child matters. And they're using hashtags, no more stolen sisters, missing and murdered Indigenous women. Little children. Talk about exploitation. Reminds me of the Mexican kids flipping off the Americans. Brainwashing. That's evil. And meanwhile, the girl has a Playboy t-shirt. And she's all like, fat little girl. Cute. But not cute. That's so evil. Victimhood. Endless victimhood. So the kids were removed from their homes, right? I guess because they were poor or something. I don't know. And so the government removed them, trying to quote-unquote help, because the government's so stupid in Canada. They've been socialist for worse, and not in a good way. I don't know if there is a good way, but some of you guys might think that there's a good way. Not in a good way. Canada is so evil and anti-Christian, anti-white. I hear that they're trucking in all kinds of immigrants, like the whites are already a minority over there. Are they? Close. Anyway, kids were removed from their home. Ooh, other Indigenous kids. And I'm just using the words that the skim is telling you. Okay, I can't correct everything. Experience different forms of discrimination, like delays in state services. Yeah, okay. Only 7% of Canadian children are... That's why you don't rely on state services, because bureaucracies are pathetic. Only 7% of Canadian children are Indigenous, but Indigenous kids represent more than half of those in foster care. That just reflects badly, I say, in part, reflects badly on the state of the family of the American Indians up in Canada. Canada isn't even real, Hake. Why do you say that, Colin? Is it Colin or Colin Barrett? Correct me. Colin or Colin? Or either way. After years of advocacy from Indigenous groups, the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, there you go with that human rights stuff again. Human rights is anti what's right. It's communist. I know I saw one of you guys say, oh, I don't like that, James. I consider myself a human rights person. Well, then maybe I'm not talking about you, but maybe I am. I don't know. But anytime you see these major establishment human rights stuff, they're for the LGBT. I've gone over this already. It's gross. They're for killing the babies in the womb. They don't care about human beings. It's a power and money grab, and it's female-minded. Canadian Human Rights Tribunal in 2016, under pressure from the so-called Indigenous groups, meaning the SJWs, the Indian SJWs, not Indian, American Indian. In 2016, the Human Rights Tribunal found the government's practices were, in fact, discriminatory. Now Canada's agreed to pay $31.5 billion, and they don't have our kind of money, which is fake money too. But they have Canadian dollars, and they don't have the budget that America has. They smell like syrup, the bills do? They have a maple leaf on there. Wow. The best syrup is from Matt the American, not Matt the Canadian. I will have you know. Canada has a maple leaf on their flag. Big one, too. Red for communists. If the deal goes through, half of that $31.5 billion, Canadian dollars, I assume, money will go to an estimated 200,000 Indigenous children and their so-called families. Yeah, right. They probably don't have families at all. The other half will go towards reforms like helping children aging out of the system and on better on reserve housing. This is Canada's latest acknowledgement of injustice. They have a long history of violence toward Indigenous communities from the 1880s to the 1990s, an estimated 150,000. That's not that many. That's not that many over 100 years. More than 110 years. Indigenous children were forcibly removed from their families and put in boarding schools, probably so we could help them, or we being the white people who were building civilization, could help them assimilate into society, right? We were doing them a favor. It's a practice the country's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and maybe it was misguided, who knows, but these are people who are even worse. Truth and Reconciliation Commission, yeah, right, meaning smear white people and hamstring your country and cater to the fake victims, has called cultural genocide. Many were abused. Unmarked graves are still being discovered to this day. That's the Skims words.
To this day.
Yeah. You might as well call Deontay Wilder a far-left female liberal, the Skim outlet person. The abuse extends beyond the treatment of Indigenous children. Just last month, the government settled a lawsuit over contaminated water on Indigenous reserves. Whose fault is that, I wonder? The Skim says no amount of money can address the decades of trauma that Canada's Indigenous community has had to endure from family separation, first through residential schools and now through foster care. And yet, that is what Canada's government is offering. Shameful. Crazy, huh? What a mess. Yeah, Deontay Wilder sounds like a white liberal woman. Nah. Brainwashed one, I guess. Eve listened to Satan, right? The serpent. The snakes. A lot of snakes in society, right? What's going on pronouncing our names, James? LOL asks Mari. Asks Mari Uvaldo. Yeah. You know what? It's an attack on men. You know what else is evil and fake? And this guy is fake and evil too. Andrew Cuomo. But you know what else is just as, if not more so, evil and fake? The Me Too movement. And he got Me Too'd. I mean, I still call it Me Too. They haven't been using the hashtag Me Too for a little bit because it's so corny. Twitter supports fake news, by the way. They put the little hash flag emoji thing at the end of a hashtag Me Too to have the women saying, "Oh, me too." Little women hands sticking up in the air, "Me too." And little gay hands too sticking up in the air, "Oh, me too," to smear the men or males. Man enough to be hated, right? The far-left female-run outlet The Skim says yesterday a New York DA said his office won't be pursuing a misdemeanor sex crime charge against the former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat, brother to Chris Cuomo, this Commie Nonsense Network reporter guy, announcer, whatever you want to call him. He was replaced by a woman, his female lieutenant governor, who is not a Christian, by the way. Andrew Cuomo, don't think he's a Christian either. Last summer, an investigation, quote-unquote, found that the governor sexually harassed at least 11 women, including an executive assistant, meaning a secretary, executive assistant. These women with their jobs, secretary jobs, they want to sound so important, so they call themselves executive assistant. Of course, secretary has become so like, you know, women in the workplace, it becomes so sexualized or something like that. And it does sound kind of wrong, I guess, to call them secretary. But that's what she is, or she was, presumably. This woman, Brittany Comiso, a turncoat. Comiso. Is that a Brittany, 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 Commisso. Is that an Italian name? Are those Italian women? Are they disloyal? Because Andrew Cuomo, he himself, is an Italian too. Yeah, and I pronounce it Italian. Hat tip to Apollo Creed over in Rocky. He called Rocky the Italian Stallion. That's where I got it. accused Cuomo of forcibly placing his hand under her shirt in 2020. They called it blouse, but that sounds dirtier, so I called it shirt. In 2020, they filed a criminal complaint against him. The people doing the investigation, I guess. Cuomo has consistently denied the fake allegation. Now, prosecutors say that the survivor, they're calling her a survivor, because that's the far left females at the Skim calling them survivor. Because you don't want to be a survivor, you don't want to be a victim, but you still consider yourself a victim. You're just elevating yourself as a heroine, a hero, a female hero, by calling yourself a survivor. So phony, so all ego, right? Was cooperative and credible. Although, while the survivor was cooperative and credible, they call anybody credible. If you have like specific allegations and you're like very detailed, ooh, that makes it credible because you have specific details. That doesn't make it credible. Women are not credible. Read the Bible. Isn't in the Old Testament the rules by the Bible saying a testimony of a woman is not to be believed? It has to be 2 or more witnesses, and actual witnesses, not 2 or more accusers from separate incidents, not 50 accusers against Bill Cosby for all these separate incidents that there's no witnesses to. 2 or more witnesses, testimony of 2 or more witnesses. Anyway, the DA would not be able to prove the crime happened, despite the survivor was cooperative and credible. Would not be able to prove that the crime happened beyond a reasonable doubt. They have to throw that in there during a trial. In other words, no proof. And the logical, reporters are just rolling their eyes at this because the woman behind this attack on Cuomo is that black female attorney general, I think. Of course, New York is corrupt in general. They're eating their own. What's that black woman? She's also going after Trump. It's just all a big joke. Letitia James. No relation. James is my first name. Black. Big. Comiso's lawyer says she plans to take this to civil court. Honestly, that's a frivolous lawsuit. Cuomo has not responded. And I'm not on Cuomo's side for anything. He's an evil person. He was like, if you are pro-life, you don't belong in New York. Never mind that upstate New York is full of decent people who don't support killing babies in the womb. And I bet you there's a small light, even to this day, in the city of New York City.
To this day!
That's right. Of sensible people. I know a lot have moved to Texas and Florida and mess, but these people are not decent. Cuomo is not decent, but he's not a man, but resembles a man just enough to be hated and toppled. He's been in there too long, the governor. And they got rid of Chris Cuomo for being, well, I don't know. What's going to happen with Chris Cuomo? He's the guy from CNN, Commie Nonsense Network. What's going to happen with him? He's was ousted for helping out his brother, doing little research stuff. Ridiculous. It's an attack on anything that even resembles manhood. That's why when somebody is somewhat conservative or pro-white or pro-Christian or pro-what's right, you don't just bandwagon to them because you don't get too excited about what's about anybody. Don't get too excited about anybody, whether to judge them as good or judge them as evil. I got a lot of super chats to read, guys. Oh, man. Okay, let me read these super chats. Over there on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@ The Hake Report, Azzmador states China has been an autocratic culture for thousands of years. It's just how they are. Yeah. And a lot of the commies are commies because they're corrupt to begin with. That's why they embraced it. That's why they're corrupting us in America, so that we embrace the evil. Evil has infiltrated your society. What's the solution? More evil. Socialism has made everything too expensive to live. What's the solution? More socialism. Corruption of the society, the lack of fathers of society is the problem in the black community. What's the solution? Get rid of the Western Christian white supremacist nuclear patriarchy family ideals. What a ridiculous thing. Yeah. Azzmador states, at least a Chinaman, whatever other problems he has, doesn't have to worry about his government replacing his people with foreigners or corrupting his children with LGBTQ. Yep, that's right. A Chinaman in China, that is. Because over here in America, well, the Chinese are taking over here. And then they're falling for this stuff too. What a mess. But yeah, you're right. Over there in China, they don't have that problem. Russia, too. Russia is not for homosexual propaganda. Good point. Nor Hungary. And Trump endorsed the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. Tucker interviewed him over from Budapest. Azzmador with another super chat. China is buying up all the land in Africa, including South Africa, to mine the rare earth minerals. Wow. Is cleaning up their culture and keeping social media and entertainment from being degenerate, taking over manufacturing, while we kowtow to the blacks and design pregnancy flight suits. They are a serious country, not us. Yeah, not you, Siri. Shaking my head. Yeah, fair points all around. Azzmador states, the U.S. government cares about nothing but the moment, meaning short-term, short-sighted. Not that they're living in the moment, not that they love God, staying in the present. No, they care about the moment, pandering for votes with silly vanity nonsense, the shallowness of the people. Like prison reform and trans rights. Yeah, China is thinking 1,000 years to their future. We could take a lesson from them. Yeah. Very true. Loads of natural resources, says Cheesehead69, ripe for the taking. I saw another comment from Cheesehead69 that caught my eye. Where did I see it? Africa didn't have the wheel before they were colonized. Simple as. Yeah, that's true. He said that a while back. And did I read this super chat? Oh, from Big Bump, LTE. You know, we were talking about 5G and cell phone towers and stuff. LTE, according to Big Bump, means long-term evolution. Let that soak in. Whoa, really? The higher the frequency, the deadlier. Facts. Yikes. Yikes. Yeah, and your girlfriend brings up another term for secretary. Administrative assistant, executive, what was the term that I read from the skim? Executive assistant? Administrative assistant. All phony stuff. It's a phony world, and the women think that it's being real. Terrible things. Okay, guys, this has been the Hake Report. We do have a Bond Archive Sunday service premiere. I forgot to announce it. That is today. It's Wednesday. We do that. And the title is, let me just pull it up real quick. Yikes. Well, it's talking about better, not bitter, but it's a conversation about Jesus and about stress. And it's pretty good. Rebuildingtheman.com/church. And of course, a Bond men's forum coming up tomorrow night. I just wanted to put that out there because I like those things. Okay? Rebuildingtheman.com/events. Thanks, guys, and take care.